Gary Salo, Gold Motor Canada. So you just received your Magic Pi 5 and it looks awesome. What should you do? Here's the plug for the pedelec. If you're not going to use that, you can remove that, separate the wires, tape them off, or just put tape around the plug. But you should put some sort of waterproofing on that if you're not going to use it, or even if you do use it. Down here we have the red and the black wire. These are what you're going to connect to your battery. We have the USB cable connection for the smart display or for the Bluetooth adapter. And we have the 10-pin wire, which is for the wire harness going up to the handlebars. So I'm going to quickly hook all that up and we're going to give it a quick test. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is the red and black wire that comes from the motor here and the red and black wire that comes from the battery. So I have the plug in the battery. There's a skin on here normally, but I just want you to see the wires. So I'm going to connect these with just household morettes, and I'm going to connect the red and black that come from the battery to the red and black that come from the motor. Now I've just twisted the red wire around the other red wire there. I'm going to do the black as well. Okay, so I have them both, and of course you want to be doing this with your battery off. If you have a live battery, you got to be careful when you're doing this. But now I'm just going to put the morettes on. Okay, so now we have morettes on there and we have a good connection between the battery and the wheel. And the reason I can do it this way is because there's a switch on the battery, and when I switch it on, the power gets turned on and off on the motor. Now, if you had a battery that didn't have a switch, you couldn't just hook it up directly like this, because you're going to get a hell of a spark when you put these together. So what you would want is where the power comes from the motor to come to a plug like this, and you plug that into your battery, or you get another plug that comes from whatever battery red and wire you have, and you connect it like this into the kit, because you need something that can handle the connection really well, because there's a lot of amps that get drawn there. So you can't just hook the wires together like this if you have a battery that doesn't have a switch. But anyway, we're past that step, so let's go on. I've screwed them on nice and tight, and we have a nice secure connection. I've had e-bikes for years where I've made a connection like this. This works quite well. It's actually better to solder it, but for people that don't like to solder, you can use this method. Now I've opened the box of all the accessories, the throttle, brake levers, everything like that, a full wire harness and everything. I'm just going to pull that all out, and I'm going to plug it right into the 10-pin wire that comes out of the motor. Okay, so the battery wires are hooked up there, you can see now, and I have the wire that goes to all the controls here, that's all hooked up. And now we can turn on the power of the battery. The lights are now on the throttle. And you got to be very careful with this. I've done this many times, but you just want to see if this spins a little bit with just a little touch of the throttle. You don't want to hold it wide open and spin the wire on there, but obviously this works, so that's good. Now we're going to check the Bluetooth. Okay, so now you want to make sure you have your battery in the off position. You know there's no lights on the throttle, and then you take your Bluetooth adapter and you plug it into the cable coming from the motor. Now I'm aiming at the throttle and the Bluetooth adapter, and I'm going to turn on the battery. Okay, so we have power and we have a blue light on the Bluetooth, but it is staying solid, so that means it needs to be updated. We need a firmware update on this device, on the controller actually. When you turn it on, it's supposed to only blink once and then go off. So, you know, try this a couple times. But when it comes on the first time, it's supposed to just blink. If not, it needs a flash update. We'll do that next. Okay, so now I'm going to take the USB cable I have for plugging into your Windows PC, and I'm going to unplug the Bluetooth device and plug the USB cable right into that same spot. Okay, so now I've hooked up the USB cable to the motor, and it runs all the way back to the laptop. It's plugged into the laptop, and I have this tool I'm going to run here called the Bluetooth upgrade tool. And when you run it, you're going to select whether you're going to do a Magic Pi 5 or a Smart Pi 5. You have to do this correctly and in this exact order, with the battery off. Open the file. Just agree to that, I guess. Okay, it opens this file, and of course it's not in English, and it's not saying a lot, but up here, let me just switch hands here. Up here we want to select the COM port. You can check other videos on how to determine the exact COM port to get it right, but in this case I want COM 9. Over here I'm going to select that I'm going to do a Magic Pi 5 because that's what I have over here is a Magic Pi 5. And you got to make sure you do this right. Okay, and then right here you click to start the process. Now at this point you turn on the battery. Okay, and you can see the screen is changing and there's some dots advancing across the screen there. And we just wait for it to finish, and I think right there it says, Gadzooks, we did it. Oh, a little more. Okay, I believe it's done. So at this point now, we can turn off the battery. Okay, and now I'm going to unplug the USB cable and put the Bluetooth device back in. So now back into the motor, I have plugged in the Bluetooth device. And it is sitting on top of the throttle there. And we're going to power up, and we're hoping for one blue light, one blink. There we go. So now this wheel is flash updated and ready for the Bluetooth. Gary Salo, Gold Motor Canada. Enjoy the ride. Thanks for watching.